This is just infuriating. And she's so pompous in delivering it, Eliana. Like, I've never seen anything so juvenile, and these two are idiots. So don't follow their lead. We should just trust the local guy in Boulder. Like, he's got something better up his sleeve. Like, we're unable to understand what death to Zionists mean from way over here in New York and Connecticut and DC, where Dan and Cash are.
Well, it's amazing. I mean, just start with, what is a terror attack? It is the targeting of civilians to achieve political aims or to push a government in a particular political direction. And all of us, like with Joe Biden's decline, could see very quickly after this event transpired on the internet videos of this man shouting his political motives, which were death to Zionists, free Palestine. So it was very clear, as you were saying, that this was an act of terror as the FBI described it. And I'm not sure where the rule came from that you need to trust the local authorities over the national authorities. I don't know.
It's a very simple rule. I wish you'd pay attention.
It's convenient, though. Yeah.
It kicks in when the victims are Jewish. And no, I think that's the end of my list. That's when it kicks in.
I mean, but I will say, the press last night was pretty quick to pick up on the guys out there chanting death to Zionists and, kill all the Jews, basically. And the media in reports in the New York Times and the Wall Street Journal and elsewhere is saying the motive has yet to be determined. Like, we may never know why the guy did this.
We may never know.
The same, by the way, a couple of weeks ago when that young couple was gunned down outside of the Jewish professionals event and shouted "Free Palestine," and we got the same. Police are still trying to discover, what the guy's motive was. It's total mystery.
And we got the same after they firebombed the governor's mansion, Emily, in Pennsylvania, a Jewish governor. And once again, the guy was shouting anti-Semitic things and saying clearly he was firebombing the governor's mansion because he was upset about Josh Shapiro's stance on Israel. Like, only when it comes to Israel and Jews is the media really confused. Like, we got to slow roll this. Not sure what the motivation actually was. It's plain as the nose on your face. Why do we need months of investigation when the person is saying, please believe me, I'm upset about these, quote, Zionists?
It's happened in cases of radical Islamists as well. You suddenly get a pause from the media, and there has to be this deep period of reflection before we know what happens. And in this case, I mean, the video circulated immediately. And I checked the timestamp of that CNN video that just rolled with the analyst. It was like 6 p.m. East Coast time. Give me a break. The video had been everywhere. That was somebody who was blinded by their deep hatred of Kash Patel and Dan Bongino, who's looking at any excuse to call them juvenile, basically. And to be honest, I have a big question for the police chief, which is why, or for the local law enforcement, which is why in the hell is that man walking around without a shirt on, not being, first of all, you're not protecting people who are marching for the hostages. This is a politically charged environment. They do it every week. Secondly, why is that guy not being arrested? Why is there so much subdued? Yeah, I would say, if there were able-bodied men in the crowd, why aren't they tackling him to the ground? But why is he walking around for such a long period of time? Why were people in a politically charged atmosphere not being protected? And then why, for the federal government, is a guy who is overstaying his visa, being allowed to walk the streets like this? And obviously, you have to, there's so many people that came into the country under the Biden administration. It takes time to track people down and to find people. But this is just, if you're a taxpayer in Boulder, my God, how infuriating.
Yeah. Look what they're making the federal government go through to deport actual alleged killers and drug dealers and wife beaters and traffickers. This guy who just overstayed the visa and hates Jews, he's going to be down the list. We've got more terrible fish to fry before we get to this guy. But under Joe Biden, they were all welcome. It's fine. It's an open door policy. Welcome. Or his auto pen. One of them really wanted all these terrible, terrible people in our country. And now they are. Here is former FBI Deputy Director Andrew McCabe reacting to the news the other day, or yesterday. Watch.
This is the sort of thing that the FBI really can help out a local police department with, providing manpower, technology, and resources to do that sort of work. That's what the FBI does. We don't step in and take over and draw conclusions 5 minutes after the attack about what happened. We reach out to the local authorities, we provide people, and we offer assistance in any way that we can. The Bureau is there to help the first responders.
Thank you so much to both of you. One thing we know for sure, certainly thinking about these victims and their families, a truly horrific thing that has happened to them as we await more on their.
So no correction by the anchor. She doesn't care. She's totally fine with what the panelist said. He was on with that Juliette Kayyem. The FBI has no role in designating something a terror attack, Eliana, that really they're just there in a supportive role and should let the locals label something terror that's terror.
Well, to take a step back, you mentioned these two other attacks, Megyn, starting in April with the firebombing of Governor Josh Shapiro's mansion in Pennsylvania by an assailant who said that he did this to free Palestine. And then a couple weeks ago, the young couple gunned down in the middle of Washington, D.C. And then yesterday, this incident in Boulder, Colorado. We do appear to have an epidemic of political violence linked to this particular cause. And that would seem, given that it's playing out across the country and people are getting killed, maimed, hurt, this would seem to be a topic of particular interest for federal authorities. This is a real issue now.
Across the state lines.
Yeah.
Not only that, but it's like you look back at, Emily raises the issue of radical Islam. Well, when we saw ISIS-inspired attacks popping up across America in various states, that wasn't just a local issue for the folks down in Orlando to deal with, for example. Of course, the FBI was involved. They need to know. I mean, Joe Biden's FBI, that both of these two defended, and one of whom was part of it, wanted to investigate fucking parents at school board meetings, Emily, for going over their time when they had the microphones to object to some of the COVID lockdowns. That is not an exaggeration, that it was literally one of the incidents that was cited by the FBI to justify its interference in these school board meetings. So it's only now that we see a guy burning 88-year-olds saying exactly why he did it, that they're saying, a bit of caution, let's just let the locals take the lead.
Well, and also, Andy McCabe, give me a break. The FBI was surveilling parishes that were doing Latin Mass, within the last 5 years. And he's defended the FBI the entire time. And also, the FBI is not being asked to convict anybody of being a terrorist, just to say that we are investigating terrorism when you immediately have a video of somebody explicitly saying this is political. There's absolutely nothing wrong with saying we are investigating terrorism. This looks like terrorism. So to actually take issue with Kash Patel and Dan Bongino for going and saying that they're investigating somebody is plain as day. I came out there and said that. Do they have any indications that he was being forced to say that, or that he said that for some reason other than that it's his sincerely held belief because he was shouting it shirtless in the streets of Boulder while he was committing violence? It's just so stupid. It's such a silly, silly thing to say on TV.
It's just the left-wing press will they'll use that word terror if it's a white on black crime. They'll be quick to inflame all of the rhetoric around the crime and have absolutely no compunction about doing it. But when we know it's staring us in the face, they won't say it. They won't do it. They won't call it a hate crime unless those are the stats. This July, there's a global summit of BRICS nations in Rio de Janeiro. The bloc of emerging potential superpowers, including China, Russia, India, and Iran, are meeting with the goal of displacing the U.S. dollar as the global currency. They're calling this the Rio Reset. As BRICS nations push forward with their plans, some worry global demand for U.S. dollars could decrease, potentially bringing down the value of the dollars in your savings. While this transition will not happen overnight, the Rio Reset could mark a pivotal moment. So learn if diversifying your savings into gold is right for you. Birch Gold Group can help you move your hard-earned savings into a tax-sheltered IRA in precious metals. Claim your free info kit on gold by texting MK to the number 989898. With an A-plus rating with the Better Business Bureau and tens of thousands of happy customers, let Birch Gold arm you with a free, no-obligation info kit on owning gold before July and the so-called Rio Reset. Text MK to 989898 today. Thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.